Lee is here with me, R2 Lee 2.
Hi guys.
Without further ado,
Hi guys.
here's
It's
your boy.
Lee. Sorry for not being here for a month.
You're totally fine, man.
Steve and I were talking about it before we went on air here. Is can you repeat what you said? Because I felt horrible that I wasn't able to be on the show for the past few weeks because of I was out of town, work events, the holidays, all this other stuff. So I just haven't been able to be on the show for the last month. It wasn't on purpose per se. It's just life gets in the way, of course. But so I had to apologize to Steve, man. It's I love the show. I love doing this show. This show is ultimate, very therapeutic for me and very engaging with everybody that chats in it and stuff like that. And Steve and I have such just buttery conversations. So it makes me feel good every week when I do this show, because it's just it's so much thinking out loud with a like-minded human for me that it's just it makes me feel so good. So I hate when I'm not able to do the show. So but Steve, if you could tell them what you said when I said that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll give a summation because I can't repeat it
please.
Exactly. It was just
when you said
moment.
it, you were just I'm just gonna, that perfect piece of crispy toast, and then you just take that, and then you just take that butter.
I didn't say any of that. But
he didn't say it, but this is how it felt, right? Steve said some really buttery, just beautiful stuff because it was a great answer. It came out of his heart.
Basically, I related it. So Lee was essentially, and we see this a lot. We see this a lot on Twitch. We have people who come in and they haven't been here for a while and they apologize. And and there are some people on the platform that are really resentful towards those people, and I understand the perspective, and it's very selfish. And I used to be that person I don't know, 7-8 years ago or more. And right. And I know what that perspective's like, and it's holding people to expectations that you can't do. You have to understand that everybody's living their own life and doing their own thing. And that phrase, I guess, the you or me living a different life, I would be okay if I had to step away for a bit and do something personally, because life has not permitted me to do the things like a talk show or a stream or whatever. And so I already do this part-time. I'm not expecting anybody to show up on a consistent basis. I am just hoping that I have people to interact with me, and that's all I can hope for. I can't expect or have the expectation that you can be here every week, I can be here every week. The people that come in here all the time, Josh, Josh got a new job. Best fucking mod in the world, dude.
Oh, man.
Best mod in the goddamn world. Josh is working his new job. He's just a busy guy now, and that's totally fine. So even Josh reached out and messaged me. He's hey, sorry, I haven't been around for a bit. And it's dude, I have... Josh, I appreciate the fuck out of you, dude, but that's why I have all these commands in place, so that when I don't have a mod in chat, or if I do have somebody who subbed, you already have permission, a little bit more leeway to do whatever you need to. And so, hey, can we transition into these past 2 weeks?
Sure. Yeah. I think ultimately, you just had to kind of sum up what you said to me. It was you have a very, very uniquely humble approach to this show, where it's you're as a lot of people expect to, if they're making a Twitch page or a talk show, they want everybody and anybody to be a part of it and pay attention and look at me, the attention's on me, all that shit. But but you don't, and you make that very very well known and very professional and stuff like that. So just shout out to Steve, dude.
Thanks, man. I'm not sure. I really do appreciate the positive, specific feedback.
Positive, specific, bro.
This is what we talk about all the time, guys. That's positive and specific. He's encouraging a behavior that he sees as a positive thing and telling me about it so that I can continue to do it. Wow. Fucking lessons. Yeah, basically it comes down to, I know life is busy, and I know that you can't be here all the time, and that's okay. Please don't ask for forgiveness. Don't be sorry. Just live. Just fucking live. And when you come back out of the jungle and you come back into the tribe, and that's my transition. When you come back into the tribe, you come back into the tribe circle, you got stories, like, I want to fucking hear them, dude. I'm the shaman, man. You came back, you left. You know, like, I want to know what things you learned.
He has not gotten rid of that thing. Oh,
dude,
that's great, dude.
No, like, that's the transition, my dude. Like, I found out what I wanted to call the community that surrounds me. Because a lot of people, and I know this is the case, like, I know that in my life, I have never been... And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but like when people look to Twitch streamers as like the leader of the thing, like I should be able to point you in the direction of where we're going. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm not full time. You know, I got a full time job. I just have aspirations to help other people and have conversations that like, you know, like this one where, you know, we do this offline and it's slightly different because we got people in here. But I consider the word tribe is not just like a buzzword for me. It is a deeply like personal thing that I don't know, man. I was like playing around with the idea for a long time, and I was just really like, it was almost like a burden. It was something that was always nagging me, and people had always like named my friends that are in the chat, like the community that surrounds me, as like the conky dongers and like all this stuff. And when I look at when somebody labels, I understand the want to label things, because that's what people do. Like humans want to label things to understand it so they can assign it to a category, or like these people belong to you, but you guys don't. Like like you guys maybe started off in the tribe, and I say the tribe because like it's a circle of influence. Like we all engage and talk with each other, and we're all busy living life. And like, you know, sometimes we got to venture away from the tribe and come back with a story or something. And sometimes you're even like a part of a different tribe. That's totally fine. Like I'm okay with that because it means you found a space, you know, for yourself. This could be just a simple stepping stone or a place for you to stop and hang out for a little bit before you go on to what you find is like your community or what you feel like you belong. And so when I was going off of the whole like leadership thing, I'm not really the leader. I'm just the dude who's been surrounded by all you guys for a long time. And when you guys come with me with questions, usually the questions that I ask in return are the things that maybe it's stuff that I don't even know. But you guys know all the answers already within yourself for the most part. Usually the questions you guys come in here is like, well, I want to know what you think about this. You know what I mean? Because you've already determined what the answer is for yourself. So really what I am is just like some sort of fucking dude on the highway that's like, that everybody knows me, and they come and stop in and they go, hey, what's up, dude? I was like here, you know,
yeah,
15 days ago or whatever. And like, now I'm hanging out over here. Like you introduced me to this person, or, you post that article in Discord and like it really like resonated with me or whatever it was. Like I'm not that, I can't be that like, I guess you could see that as like leadership quality, because like the shaman or whatever sometimes is more prominent in the community than like the leader or the king or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, that was it. I found this word for everyone, and it made a lot more sense to me.
But I think it's like you don't act like and don't take this the wrong way, but you don't act like a leader in that sense.
Yeah,
you know, it's very much you know, people look to others that are not gonna like walk the path for them, but it's gonna walk the path with them. Mm-hmm. And so like and that's something that I like to live by from a leadership skills standpoint, like professionally and otherwise. But I always like try to make sure that if people are going to be in my life, then like I want to make sure that they're enjoying the best version of themselves around me too. You know,
right.
It's
that makes sense
to kind of describe as opposed to live, but yeah, it's interesting, man. But
yeah,
you have a good kid's got a good head on his shoulders.
Thanks, man.
Kid's got a good path in life. All that kind of stuff.
Thanks.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the people I'm surrounded with. So, like, thank you as well. Like, I wouldn't be at this point wanting to do these things and doing the things that I'm doing now without your participation in it at all. Because it was like, I had this idea and you were like, yes, let's do it. And now we're here. You know what I mean? So it's been, 3 years now?
Dude, Longer, absolutely longer.
Well, since we've had this conversation, like, and doing the show, it's only been 2016.
It has to have been longer.
Really? I don't think so.
2016 is 4 years ago. No, it's not. Math is great.
3 years ago.
Damn. It feels like forever. Because
yeah, it feels like a long time.
Where we first came from with this show was like eating tacos awkwardly and quietly on stream to this is a dramatic jump.
Yeah.
But I brought you up actually and this show up fairly recently because I was talking about it was like social media presence. Yeah, I went to go see the new Spider-Man movie with a buddy of mine, and we were talking about, and he brought up a friend of his that like quit his job to do just a YouTube show, right? And he got lucky because his wife was, they were like financially stable, and like he was, really smart with his money and all that stuff, so he was able to do it. But I was like, dude, that is something, because people straight up quit their jobs just to make a social media presence.
Yes.
And it does not work for most people. It really doesn't.
Less than like 1% of the people in YouTube and social media make it successfully and are able to like make a living out of this shit.
Yeah, and it's like but what most people don't realize is like their expectation is just like, oh, it was so easy for them to start it, so it's gonna be easy for me. So like but those people don't realize that it's like you have to dedicate everything to the show. If not everything, the biggest thing you have to dedicate is your time. And like, I brought up this show because like we had no expectation for this show. Like, we didn't want to make this a big thing. We didn't want to we didn't want to be like have to be able to quit our jobs and like do this show full time or anything like that, right? So that worked in our favor in the sense of our consistency with it, like, because it was just us and we didn't have that that high expectation, and we didn't have this pressure on ourselves to make sure that it was perfect in every way, and then let the substance and the content die. We focused on the substance and the content, which that has led us to be able to do this for a few years,
right?
And now get to where it is today. So like we have a beautiful approach with this show, and Steve, especially you, for how much time that you dedicate with this, and like now getting more people that are involved with the EXP Talk Show, and like more episodes, more people per week. I mean, like that kind of growth is necessary, and you're doing it the right way. So if anything, what I'm trying to say is like this broader audience that we're starting to develop is what's helping this thing grow, because like the EXP is exactly that, where it's like trying to connect with people on through experience of like, of our lives and our thought streams and stuff like that. So if we could share that with other people, then amazing. And so the more people we could share it with, it's great. So we're, that's what I hope to see with this show and your stream. It's just like, yeah, let it fucking grow.
Let it grow. Let it grow. Let it grow.
But anyway, so we've been talking, this happens. Yeah. Steve and I have ADD, so it's like, so this will happen when we're going on those little tangents of emotion and thought process, and try to get you guys to step into our brains for a second. But as far as a formal, official start to the show, we usually like to start it off with how we've been for the past, since we last chatted, since we last talked and stuff. So Steve, started off. You said you had like an interesting week. I want to hear about your stuff for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, we got our wedding video and our photos. Wedding video was dope. The photos were great. I haven't seen all of them. Leia hasn't sent me all of them. I've got like 6, and they're all beautiful. Watching that video was amazing. What else? I found the name for the community. So tribe that's the thing. What else? Work is getting better. I was approached to do like a pilot program for like cross training and shadowing, which is really cool. I'm hoping that leads to something else. Because right now, like, I'm in this spot where I know make a tribe emote, Josh. Oh, that's gonna be so tough. I'll think about that later. Holy shit. I'll write it down. Hold on. Otherwise, I'll forget about it.
If somebody wants to make that emote, won't stop you. You know what I mean?
Emote ideas.
Help a brother out. You know what I mean? So,
it's
got to be like Steve. It's got to be like Steve with like a magic compass or something like that. I don't know.
I'd have to like come up with a emote that is specific
So
and Gorilla Tribe. Make it work. My name's Conky Dong.
We'll brainstorm.
We'll think about it. You got me intrigued though, Josh. Thank you. Yeah, the so that was it. A majority of the stuff that's been happening over the past few weeks has been honestly, that was the biggest thing. It's been streaming more consistently over the past 2 weeks and really honing these ideas that I have written down on my phone, so that I can like get all the stuff that I need for the week. Planning for the XP Talk Show today by listening to that podcast, which I'm still fucking flabbergasted over. And
that's a little teaser.
Leia's been traveling a lot, so like I would say I was like kind of lonely over the past couple weekends, but I was also working on some stuff too, so there's like this equilibrium that I end up getting in where like I feel like I was in a funk, one day, but the cool thing about the internet is I get to hang out with people when I know other people are busy or whatever, so it was really cool being able to, even though I wasn't physically in their presence, like hanging out with them was a lot of fun, and I'm very appreciative of the people that I've made friends with online, because even though I was in the chat, I was still being talked to as if I was in the same room as them, and it made me feel really great.
That's great, dude.
Yeah.
That's so good.
What about you, man? How was your past 2 weeks?
I'm pretty sure it's been 3. I know you've been saying 2 weeks, but I'm pretty sure it's been 3. Because I'll explain.
Oh, you don't want to know why it wasn't 3 for me? Because James was on the XP Talk Show.
That's why. Okay, yeah.
That's why.
It wasn't 3 for you, was 3 for me. But the past 3 weeks, woo boy, has been busy. Because it was like the first week that I had to miss out was Elaine and I took a little like impromptu trip to Wisconsin. Like we did like a little long weekend in Wisconsin. And
Wisconsin?
It was like
what were you doing?
So we went. So the original thing was like my cousin lives in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin and his wife and his baby and another baby on the way. So
nice. Congrats to them.
Well, yeah, no, I'm sorry, not on the way. It's right. My cousin had the second baby. Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Life rules. So yeah, so that was the first weekend that I had to miss. So we had a long weekend in Wisconsin. So the sole reason was to see my cousin, his wife, and now his 2 kids. And but we started off like driving to Madison. We brought our dog Daisy along with because we were able to, because like it's surprisingly not a short drive from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And
how far is the drive?
To Madison was like what, like 2 hours, 2.5 hours? Yeah, like 2.5 hours to Madison. Lovely little Midwest, flatlands drive. And then from Madison to Milwaukee was like an hour and a half, something like that.
Nice.
About an hour. But it's like an hour and a half to Milwaukee from Chicago. So like it's really, I mean, like it's a great like long weekend little trip. So
yeah. And you got to get out of the house and feel like you were in a different space, which is nice.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, get to get out of the house. But like we originally were supposed to go to California this week, but the trip kind of fell through. So we were just like, let's go to Wisconsin. Bless you. So then so we did that. Madison was beautiful. We went to like the college town and stuff, like saw the Capitol, right? Yeah, the Capitol building, which is it's like a spectacle in and of itself. Hung out there, met some locals, super cool. Good beer, good food. Went to Milwaukee, saw my cousin. It was like beautiful weather when it wasn't when it wasn't supposed to, so that was nice.
Oh, nice surprise. Was it supposed to be like rainy the whole weekend or something?
Yeah, like rainy and cloudy, and it was like sunny and beautiful.
Nice.
So it worked out really well. then the following week was my first work party, like my first work event, which was awesome because it was like it was my first like time, outside of work with all my coworkers, and like everybody is not like 100% in work mode, so like I was able to get more comfortable and more like more friendly with my coworkers because I'm only 2 months into the job,
Right.
into the new job. So like it was the first time I was able to literally just like let loose and just kind of like really be personality 101, and like as everybody else was. So it was really good, and it was, it's at this really cool venue, delicious food, great drinks. A lot of people got saucy, and it was one of those like it was one of those situations where it's like you see your coworkers drunk, and it's some of the funniest shit that you could ever see, because like you never expected them to be this like rowdy and silly.
Yeah, I actually had that happen to me recently too, and it was interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
It's very fascinating because it's like, but because then I got into this mode where I was like, because I do my personal best to not blur the line between professionally and personally.
Yeah.
I try to mix those together where it's
Do
like,
you guys hear the pun that's happening? Say it one more time for the folks.
what did I say? What did I say? It was personally, personally.
Did you not mean to
professionally.
make that joke?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Are you fucking serious?
Like, professionally and personally. I did not mean to do that. Holy shit.
That's amazing.
Personally and professionally.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. I blurred that line. Wow, it was weird. That's fucking weird. That's like
now you're thinking about it. You're like, fuck, dude, that's crazy.
Any word that ends with ly
is a normal.
Me up. It fucks me up because like that. Yeah, I always think people are like saying my anyway. So I like to blur that line between those two personalities in me. Because I feel like that makes you more comfortable at your job. It makes you more, I feel better at your job because you're just being natural and it is you. You're not forcing yourself to be someone you're not.
Right.
You're all that kind of stuff, right? So, but to see, a hefty amount of my coworkers have a distinct difference between those two, professionally and personally, was just very fascinating because I was like, it was just very interesting. It was like an interesting kind of mindset study, if you will. Like just seeing everybody that has that switch when they leave work, they're like, I'm gonna party, and like I'm not the same personal touch kind of it was very fascinating, but that was super fun. And so did that. Went to the lovely Logan Square Festival that weekend. So got out, had some good beer, hang out with friends, and like hang out with Daisy some more. It was hot as fuck this past 2 weeks in Chicago. It was like
very hot.
Shit. Oh god, it's terrible. But then last week was 4th of July.
Yes.
Right? So we had a bunch of people over, you included, over to our big old backyard. We had a kiddie pool, which was a big kiddie pool. Hey, Daisy. Big kiddie pool for the pups and people. Had the grill going, beers going. We were hanging out in the shade. And that was lovely. That was just like really fun, just having everybody hang out and stuff. So that was a blast. That actually also too was one of my kind of first experiences having like a holiday weekend at this new job, because at our job we had kind of like a relaxed Friday where we, like not a lot of people were working and stuff. So like I had like a 4-day weekend, which is crazy. Like I'm not used to that. You know what I mean? So like working
right.
in the small business world is fucking great. And then Saturday was you like dark matter coffee, right, Steve?
Yeah, baby. Oh my god, it's my favorite. Dark.
And Steve, sincere apologies because I don't know why I didn't tell you about this, but like, so that Saturday on July 6th was the dark matter block party.
Oh, like, damn.
Yeah. Do you remember I talked about that one year? It was like it was last year or something like that. Like
yeah.
They literally just take over like a parking lot. you just donate money to Hope for a Day, which is like a suicide prevention
I think we went
organization.
last year, right? Because they had like a band or something.
Yeah. So we went again this year. So you just donate money.
Right.
We donated like $20 or whatever to get in. And then all the beer, all the coffee, all the, small amounts of food were free. And then you have live music, you got your hangout with your friends, and it was awesome. It was just
awesome.
it was a good block party to showcase. And I said this last year too, but like showcase, Chicago businesses, Chicago beer companies, Chicago coffee companies, food companies, and Chicago music and stuff. So that was a blast, man. And so that was my last few weeks.
Dude, a lot's happened. Yeah,
a lot has happened. My gosh.
Yeah.
So and I was also thinking about this the other day, because I know we've talked about this on the show before, but that getting yourself in that mindset of not being bored, we've got these ADD brains where we always have to be doing something. So when we're slowing down or when we're stopped, anxiety sets in, because you're like, I need to make sense of all this,
Yes.
And so
really not fun.
Yeah. And so it was just a reminder where it's like, you can seek things to do, go do things. And then when you have the day like we did on Sunday, we did it on Sunday, and we were just vegetables and watched the entire third season of Stranger Things in one day.
Oh my God.
Which sounds like a lot, which it was, but it's just, you get to the point where you then say, I deserve to be this lazy. You know what I mean? Because you've been so active the other day. So I just encourage people to be like, just go out and find things to do in your community, find things to do around you, randomly call or text your friend to hang out that you haven't in a while, where they're nearby or something like that. So you just get in that habit to the point where you're never bored,
Right.
Which, life is great, so you need to take pieces of it. So,
agreed.
Yeah. Fuck, man.
Dude, it's been a while. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, but that's it's been an exciting past few weeks. Life is exciting going forward. We're going to the fish show on Saturday with my sister and my brother. Elaine's gonna be there.
Is that Elaine's first fish show with the Nicholson family?
It is Elaine's first fish show in general.
Oh, that's pretty
nuts. We're gonna get very high at this show. You say no now. No, you will not. Because Trey Anastasio on that guitar, he's gonna keep you awake. John Fishman on the drums.
She'll probably just get secondhand, in all honesty.
Paige McConnell on the keys. No. Sorry. It's gonna be a great time. It's gonna be a great time. I love Fish. Been seeing shows since I was a child. It's gonna be a really great experience. So
that's exciting, dude. Being able to share that with your loved one, man.
Let me tell you, Steve, do this with me, man. Do this with me. Take a deep inhale and let it out.
I feel better.
There we go. Sometimes deep breath helps everything. You want to get into the topics, man?
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Segues, dude.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so going off this, I think we should do the alien thing first.
I'm totally cool with that.
So I didn't listen to this podcast. A while ago, we did a podcast with Tom DeLonge, and again, for whatever reason, it always comes back to Joe Rogan doing a podcast with somebody, right? So Tom DeLonge comes out of nowhere, and he is talking about To the Stars Academy, a foundation he's made up so that will bridge the gap between people understanding what UFOs are, spaceships, alien technology, a bunch of stuff. And it kind of comes out of nowhere. And Tom DeLonge doesn't really have a good history with being well mentally. So people were extremely critical of what he was saying. And I mean, to be honest, it was extremely convincing to me, because during the whole process, while Joe Rogan was talking with him and was asking him questions, he's like, literally, dude, I have no idea how this stuff works. I can just describe it in the way that it was told to me. I don't know how this works. I'm the media guy. I'm the guy that's going to help us transition into the realm of, yes, I understand conceptually how this works and how it's possible. right? And so recently Joe Rogan does another podcast, and the most recent podcast that I'm referring to is number 1315 with Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell,
I think.
Yeah. And
the documentary is on Netflix, by the way.
It is on Netflix.
Yeah.
What's the documentary called?
It's called where it is. Oh, there. Nope. Wait. There. Wait. Bob Lazar, Area 51, and Flying Saucers, man.
Yeah. So let me just read you the Wikipedia really quick of Bob Lazar. Just the top half.
I have the same thing up. I have the same website up, dude.
Of course. Why would we? Right?
That's tripping out.
Is an American who claimed to be a physicist who worked on reverse engineering purported extraterrestrial technology at a site called S4 near the Area 51 Groom Lake operating location. S4 is located several kilometers south of Area 51. Lazar said that the UFO ran on an antimatter reactor that used the unsynthesized element 115 as fuel. He claims to have read U.S. government briefing documents that describe alien involvement in human affairs over the past 10,000 years. That is... I don't get to that part of the podcast. It might be in the documentary that I didn't watch.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
He claims to have read U.S. government briefings documents that describe alien involvement with human affairs over the past 10,000 years. I don't know if they actually do that. This might be fluff.
Spoiler alert, they do not talk about
this is not something that was talked about in the podcast. Lazar's claims resulted in bringing a secret site, commonly known as Area 51, to the attention of the public. His story has been recently gained attention due to an interview with Joe Rogan, as well as a 2018 documentary about his life, Bob Lazar, Area 51, and Flying Saucers. So, again, like, this whole thing is... I've gone a majority of my life understanding and hoping that there's aliens out there. And the reason why I hope is because it means that beyond our star system, beyond what we know as the Earth itself, there are other beings that have excelled at being alive, just like we have. They just may be in a different state. And the hope for this is really more of like it's a shattering of what we think our importance on this planet is, and how we are divine in some way, shape, or form. And I'm all about ego destroying and all that stuff, thanks to some past experiences and sensory deprivation tanks. But listening to this man describe working in the facility, and specifically the engine interacting with
not just any engine, buddy,
the propulsion system,
the specific, like, not quite anti-gravity, but like,
no, it is anti-gravity. It controls gravity, is how he described it. Okay, so hearing these things come out of somebody's mouth was just like, I was driving and I was visibly holding my face when he started doing it, and I didn't stop. Like, the only time I stopped listening, I had to stop and get gas. So I pull off into the side of the road, I pause the podcast, it's just dead silent. And like, you know that scene in Saving Private Ryan when they're on the beach and it's just like kind of fucking blank? Like, if there's no sound, it's just things happening around them. I had like a few seconds of that where I was just like, am I living a real life? And I was like pacing, and I texted you, and I was like, I have to say this to somebody. I have to say...
You're gonna spread the word, baby.
Yeah, I gotta be like, aliens are real. Fucking aliens are real, boys. I don't know what to say. The stigma, and the really cool thing about this podcast is they go into the stigma of what it means to talk about this stuff, and how like the verbiage and language has been used consistently in the past. Documentation is now being brought up now. Like, there's this air of ambiguity that has been around this thing. And now, to me, after listening to this podcast, I fucking believe this guy. Like, it's absolutely insane to listen to him And Joe Rogan does such a good job of being the guy that doesn't know, but does know how to ask questions. Because, like, the whole time, I'm thinking, like, well, what about this? And what about that? And Joe's just fucking doing it for us, you know? Like, and
he's
when
challenging it. And this is, like, what's cool. It started to, like...
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So, I listened to this episode, too, and I watched the documentary, and it was, like... And immediately when you have when you're like, oh, this guy's coming out saying that he worked on a secret government facility that was working on alien technology and working on aliens and like all this other stuff, and of course you immediately say to yourself, that's bullshit, you're full of shit, I'm not going to listen to you, and that's not true, right? Because it's like duh
but that's what we've been conditioned to do.
And so, yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like we shun the person who's like crazy talk, like what the fuck are you talking about or whatever. But when he wasn't even talking about aliens in a way that somebody who talks about aliens talks about aliens. He was just talking about the stuff he was doing as a matter of fact, and he was so good at explaining the technology that I didn't have any questions for him afterward of like whether or not he was sound of mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's okay.
Thing, yeah.
No.
We're excited, so it's gonna be like back and forth about it.
I'll tell you this right now, like this, we may blend our separate topic kind of like sprinkled into this major subject, but I feel like we're gonna talk about this probably a majority of the time.
Yeah, that really. The other thing is really just to like hammer home why we're talking about this.
That's very true. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So, it was just like, so whenever you hear any of this stuff about aliens, it's like you can't help but, again, to your point, where we're conditioned to kind of immediately assume that it's bullshit and it's science fiction and all this other stuff, you know. But as a lover of science fiction, where a lot of science fiction has become science fact, it's not impossible. Like that, like I think this is the major thing that I try to tell people about, is like, this stuff isn't impossible. Like, you know, aliens and alien technology is not impossible because of the vast size of the universe and like and the probability of, you know, life being on other planets. But the problem is that what we don't know is intelligent life versus just life. That's what we're trying to figure out, all this kind of stuff. And so it gets to the point where it's like, so it's Joe Rogan, right? So now here's kind of another like realization kind of thing. It's like Joe Rogan, you know, his podcast is taken very seriously because like millions and millions and millions of people listen to it every day. 10
million downloads every month.
And if his show was bullshit, he wouldn't have that many downloads. If his show was bullshit, he wouldn't keep doing it, right? And so whenever you take this, and I'll connect this also to Air Force pilots too in just a second, but like, you know, when your reputation as a successful podcaster is on the line about bringing someone in that's calling himself as a UFO scientist, a scientist that worked on a secret government facility on UFO technology, like, you're running that risk, right? And so what Joe Rogan does really good, and I commend him for it, is that he takes the idea and he challenges it. Like, he challenges the idea where multiple times throughout the podcast, he's like, you know, normally, you know, this sounds like it's full of shit, but like, and so there's substance that just comes from it. Now, what I'll say is the director of the documentary is more of an unbelievable guy. You know what I mean? He's more of like a, you know, like I appreciate his drive, I appreciate his passion and stuff like that, but he is like really at that edge of like, you're just trying to believe kind of thing.
Yeah, you can tell he's been vested in aliens for a long time.
Right.
And like, so, the idea of like an alien is way more tantalizing than the science behind that.
Right.
Right?
So yeah, exactly. And so like, you know, and
a little crazy. You gotta be a little crazy.
You gotta be a little crazy. And so, and this guy, yeah. So the director, you know, kind of didn't really add as much of the substance to the episode, and the documentary, but Bob Lazar does, right? So like Bob Lazar, you know, his story is just so compelling.
Yes.
Because it's so detailed and it's so, you know, specific, and you know, he corrects all those other things. Like he's been doing this for 30 fucking years and is still believing and still telling the same story, because like you'd think that, you know, if your story was untrue that you're telling, like you'd eventually figure out a way to tell the truth. You know, everybody like,
or you'd slip up and everybody would know about it, you know?
Right. And not to bring some dark politics into this, but like the whole Epstein thing, where it's like this billionaire guy had been like molesting and raping like children for, you know, decades or whatever. Now it's coming out that he's so what I'm saying is that the truth eventually comes out, right?
Eventually.
And so it eventually comes out due to science, due to discovery, and all that kind of stuff, right? And so this story is just so compelling because it's being told over this vast amount of time, and so eventually the story comes out, right? And so now you've got this audience that is Netflix. You have this audience that is Joe Rogan's podcast, where now his story is being told, and man, I have always been a believer in life on other planets because of, again, statistics and probability and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, like having the reality and the potential tangibility of it being here and it being so close is like, it's exciting. You know, it's exciting because, you know,
it's confirmation.
Yeah.
First and foremost is confirmation.
Right. It's like, well, so yes, exactly. Because I'll put it this way, is like the control, like, so let's take the idea of aliens being here and us working on alien technology. Let's take that idea, right? So understandably, from like an American government perspective and a world, like literally a world perspective, you know, we've talked about this on several podcasts where, like, you know, religion and agriculture and culturalism and stuff like that, all that stuff grows, you know, with the sense of survival, with that desire for survival and drive and stuff like that. But the entire world as we know it has always been the world. It has always been the earth. Life is only this. So of course, if we're talk about being conditioned to believe something,
right?
You know what I mean? This has been since the dawn of man, since we've believed that.
Well, we live from here, you know, like we look out, and the world that we exist in is the world that we're living in only. Like what we experience, and outside of that, it's noise, right?
Yeah,
for the most part.
And it's because you can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't taste it, you
can't fathom it. Like when I say it's a billion miles away, you'd be like,
you're
like you don't know. You don't fucking know.
It took me 2 hours to get home from fucking work today, you know, and so like I can't imagine how long it might take to get to like the next star system or whatever. But
yeah,
so it's like so taking that idea of life on other planets, or especially life being here, that would fuck the world up so much. You know what I mean? It would be so chaotic because belief systems would be destroyed. You know,
I don't think so. I don't think belief systems would be destroyed.
Well, no, but like, no, I think. Well,
I think the narrative of belief systems may be brought into question, but
because the narrative, from like a religious belief system standpoint, has been so concrete for thousands and thousands of years. You know, we're seeing it right now politically about, you know, things that political laws that are trying to be put in place oppose religious beliefs. We're already seeing the backlash of that. Could you imagine? Oh, you know, God, you know, only created the humans.
He only created humans.
Nothing about aliens or whatever. So it's just like, so
they got a different book.
Yeah, that's true.
I think of Little Dicky.
Like, you know, they were given this book by an alien race. We don't know.
I think of Lil Dicky, like when he's talking about, he's like, why can't God fuck with aliens? Why can't Earth be like some sort of side project for this guy? You know, like why the fuck? Why is that not a thing?
It's not impossible.
But I'm just saying, like, this man described a like. It's tangible now for me because like I couldn't. I don't know if we'll ever see this stuff physically being done or whatever, but the description, I mean, let me see if I can pull the audio up, because
Sure.
it's only like a few minutes and it just makes me good. I don't know how to I don't know how else to explain it.
So this is the, and for lack of a better way to put it, and I know a lot of probably people wouldn't like this phrasing, but like this is the closest thing to a religion, at least that I've tried to experience, where it's like,
Right.
it's something that I believe in so full-heartedly that I can't see nor taste nor touch and stuff. So like it's a very fascinating thing, but like the substance of all the evidence that comes with it to some degree, and our understanding of the universe as we know it, is where I start to believe it more. And so it's
Yeah.
very fucking interesting.
I think
dude.
I have the exact moment he talks about it. Hold on one sec.
Throw it on, dude. Let me know when you're ready to play it, because I can feel the gaps here. Because like,
hold on 1 second.
But this is the first hand or turned off in a lot of different ways.
I want to hear it too.
The way Barry
Do I have to
showed
pull up
me,
the stream for that?
the hemisphere is removed.
I think I do, don't I?
There's a small tower system. Hemisphere about the size of a basketball.
Here it is. Okay.
Yeah. All right, I'm listening on the stream.
Okay.
What was it about this reactor that made you think that it didn't exist technologically?
Well, it was I actually have to back up, because there were some briefings that I read it before
Turn it up
that.
if you can.
I did.
That,
cool.
Certainly gave me the impression that this was going to be a weird job, but this was the first hands-on thing. This was a small reactor about the size of a hemisphere, about the size of a basketball, on a metal plate, and when it was running, it produced a gravitational field of its own. Now, this is something that we can't do. We can't produce any gravity. The only way we get gravity is from large quantities of mass. But there's no machine we can have that turns on that makes gravity. Like, you can turn on an electromagnet and it makes a magnetic field. We can't make a gravitational field. Anyway, this device was producing that. And Barry said, almost like he was bragging, go ahead, try and touch the sphere. And I couldn't. It pushed my hands away, just like two like poles of a magnet. So that was...
so like when you take two magnets and you're trying to press them together and they push against each other?
Yeah, that kind of cushion feeling, but you can't get them together. The closer you put them, the more they push. But
and you felt that physically
with
your
my hand? Yeah, now there's nothing that does that. And that immediately caught my attention. Going,
He said that, and I was like, "What?" And then he continues to go on to describe how this thing like aesthetically operates and looks, and he describes it as not having any wires, and it operates based on an electrical load. So the engine, the propulsion system turns on when in contact with an electrical load. That could be a living organism, or it could be some other function on the ship. And when he describes that, I'm just like, I can't even fathom stepping on board something and it powering up and what that fucking feels like. Yeah. And I can't, like, it just is so unfathomably unbelievable, but explained so beautifully by this man, Bob Lazar, that I don't want to take you through all of this. That was just like a small portion. Please listen.
It's a lot of content. Yeah, it's a combination of the show and the documentary. It's a lot of information to absorb, but like I'll put it this way, like if you were to talk, let me put it this way. So like if you were to talk to two separate people, both who play guitar, right? You have one person that has been playing for a week, and you have another person that's been playing for 20 years. And you have them describe playing guitar to you, or how to play the guitar. You know there's going to be a difference. And it's not based off, like, you don't know their history, you don't know their experience, you don't know anything, right? So if you hear both of their stories, you are like, I can guarantee you're gonna know and hear the difference between their stories. And so when somebody like Bob Lazar describes his experience and the technology behind it, everything is just like, yep, this, and this. Here's your answer here. And like, and it just like, it feels like it's the guy who's been playing guitar for 20 years. You know what I mean? And so like, and that just, that just gives me that kind of reassurance. And again, this is all, whether or not it's actually true, it's if anything,
it's real to him.
It's real to him. Yes.
100% it's real to him.
Yes.
And
so
that
yeah.
I do. Okay. So like, I want to talk about this for a little bit because the experiences of another person is a really hard thing to interpret. So like, what you need to understand is when somebody like speaks passionately about an experience that has happened to them, there are ways that you can determine if somebody is lying. And like Lee had mentioned earlier, had he been lying earlier, there would have been some sort of inclination in that sort of story that's been going on for the past 20 years. But the man is so mentally sound when explaining these things in such an articulate detail that it brings into question, for me at least, like, okay, well, your experiences are real, regardless of whether or not they're true or if it actually happened, they're real. And the reason why that's important to me is because it adds validity to what had happened. And when he goes into detail describing nine different kinds, like nine variations of craft, completely different from one another.
Yeah.
That was even like, that to me, like, I'm having trouble breathing right now. I can't, it means a lot. Like basically the implication, and just to add like further validity in terms of like to the statements that he's describing. So everybody that's in the podcast, he goes on to describe that the technology that they had been working on, they were trying to reverse engineer. And so
yeah.
The terror of what this was for him was that they were compartmentalizing how the project was being done so that people couldn't put pieces together and openly discuss it. So they had propulsion systems team, they had a materials team, they had like a physicist team, like they had all these separate teams with a dossier of what they should and shouldn't be working on. Pardon me. And the way he explains it is like, if this was a government operation, this would be a little bit more of like a leaky sort of thing. Right now, this speculation is that this is primarily like a privatized organization that's like heading up all this technology, and the ships that he had been in contact with, or the ones that he had read about in the dossiers that were given, they were very old. Meaning like they had been studying him for a long time. They didn't really know what's going on. And at a certain point, and the element 115 is a element that we now have on the periodic table. That was an element he was talking about like 15 years prior to the discovery of it. All of these things he's describing, it really comes down to how this technology is going to be utilized and who's in charge of, dispersing the information. And the truth is they don't want any information going out. So his story, just a quick like little background, is his life was essentially going to be erased. They were going to get rid of him. His birth certificates, his friends and family, like anybody that was in contact with him suffered. They lost their jobs. They lost where they were working at. Anybody that he had working in the lab that he had contact with, or friends, lost their access and were removed. The only reason why anybody can confirm that he was working in Area 51 and SR4 was because of a document that somebody had provided to somebody, and it was like contact records of like who you can contact at the location, and they didn't expunge him from it. Like that was the one like lead that they had. It's fucking nuts, dude. Everything about it is just like
it's insane because like I think and so the understandable perspective of like why you wouldn't believe a guy like this is because like you know, and this is where it's hard to kind of comprehend, because it's just like, you know, information like this, like I'm talking about, like thinking about the idea in this bubble is like, of course the government would use every resource humanly possible to try to shut this stuff up, you know, and erase this guy's history, and like,
But was it the government?
you know, it's like, you know, but absolutely it had to be, because like the you know, the people in charge of the country and of the world have a responsibility to protect us from chaos, right? Because if chaos comes into play, then literally, you know, humanity as we know it is gone. Humanity as we know it is done.
I mean,
right?
they
And so,
had
like,
that whole tape interview like released, and it didn't do anything. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like he was dismissed
Because
as like
it
a
was
crazy person and all
right.
that.
As all stories of UFO sightings and all that kind of stuff it's always taken and deemed as crazy, right? So like,
Right.
so you know, it's understandable, but that this gets to this point where the government would probably want, and the world would want to shut this up, and you use every resource to do so. So it's like, even just the hiring of Bob Lazar, like you know that they're probably doing heavy background checks. So like, if his history needed to be erased, it'd be easy, and like, or whatever it is. So like, it like perfectly makes sense there. But I think my ultimate point with all this, which by the way, I'm a believer too, total believer. I want to believe this stuff. I want to believe in that technology because, think about it this way. So like, and let's say like this is true, right? Let's say it's like 100% true. This gravitational control module exists, right? So they, you know, Bob Lazar goes on to explain in the documentary and in the show is like, that would change like the industrial revolution as we know it. That would change propulsion as we know it. Like, we burn so much fuel to try to get something from one place to another. Like, you need something to push you. You need something to, expunge out the back of it, and then to get it to shoot the other way. One of the biggest expenses of getting us out of the atmosphere is rocket propulsion. Right. And that stuff is extreme. You're burning so much fuel that it's unbelievable. So like, if we had something like this technology, it would change everything, right? And so that idea, just the idea of it, whether or not the actual technology is true, just the idea of it is fucking beautiful. Where
Dude,
it's like,
it is.
and which then in turn, where it's like, propulsion in general is also like a big contributor to the breaking of the ozone, to the destruction of the of our atmosphere and all that kind of stuff too. So it's like, that one component and that one piece of technology could change everything. And so like, yet again, I'll reiterate, whether or not this stuff is true, it's just that idea that should propel people to try to get it to become true, whether or not it's a technology that came from aliens or it is an influence for everybody on planet Earth, everyone, not just the US, but everyone on the planet Earth that has some sort of like scientific knowledge and stuff to try to make it real. Right. Turn the science fiction into fiction.
Well,
I think the exciting element of it.
Well, I think, and this is just me like being spitballing at this point, like if they're compartmentalizing how they're doing research, I'm wondering if this all became public, if that would change entirely, and if it did change, what is the implications for how fast we would develop? And one interesting concept that was brought up during the talk show was the idea that we are similar to what a caterpillar does. Where we're constantly building something. We don't know what we're doing. We're just building it. We're building new things, new technology all the time. And this stuff that we have that connects us virtually, that we look at on our screens, will be eventually integrated, into our whole like bodies, and then the biological and electrical stuff merges and becomes like one thing. Our trajectory is those 9 ships that he talks about in the podcast. Yeah. The 9 ships that like brought those organisms to our star system or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like how, like, are they vacationing? Like what are the Like, where
could
were
be
the
explorers,
bodies?
man.
Like, there's seats in these things. Like, I don't even know how to articulate my thoughts, my dude. Like, it's something that after listening to it,
Yeah.
I was just in
It kind of
awe.
fucks you up.
It
Didn't that
fucked
fuck
me
you
up, dude. Yeah, I told
it's like-
Josh, I'll
Yeah.
tell you this story because I know you're a big fan of Leia. So I texted Lee and I was like, aliens exist, bro, and I tweeted, and then like I hadn't told anybody, and I was like, do I call my dad like right now? Like, what do I fucking do? And I like calling my dad out of nowhere and being like, aliens are real, and then like not being able to articulate it probably wouldn't go very well. But Leia is extremely understanding and is willing to listen to me. And so she was on her way out, driving, and she stopped for a moment, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, aliens are real." And I looked at her straight in the eyes. I said, "Aliens are real." And that's it. You're the first person I said. And when I said it, I felt this thing in my chest. This like, it wasn't quite relief. It wasn't anxiety or anything. It was just pure, like,
understanding.
wow. Like profoundness. Like, I'd imagine that the same feeling happened to somebody understanding like a concept or like a really complex idea or something that they had been holding on to for a very long time and were uncertain about, but then found it. And they were like, this is real. I have it right here. You know what I mean? And I haven't physically, tangibly, looked into this stuff or anything, but I'm willing to put a lot of hope and belief in the people that have been or researching this stuff, and to hear him articulate it in a way that I conceptually could understand, and have somebody like Joe Rogan prod and ask questions in a way that I would have asked, made it very real, because it was almost like I was doing the interview at that point. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, you have this ability to kind of to connect to the story in your own way, based on your own history. And so, like, I think I have a weird thought here. This would normally be something that, like, if I was baked, I would probably just ramble on for hours about this. This would definitely be like one of those high thoughts that you would think about.
Ideas.
Ideas. Oh, damn, that's good. No, like, that's good. Holy shit. It would be so, like, if anything, all right. So if you think about the story of human evolution, right, or of just life evolving and surviving, right, is, we've talked about this again, and I'm gonna make sense of this, trust me here. So we've talked about this a lot, where it's just like the evolution of an organism to what it's now become today, which is us, and just like crazy amounts of life, which is amazing, right? And so we have now gotten to this point where our brains have evolved that have created this comprehension and thought process and belief system and all that kind of stuff. So it's but we're still in survival mode, right? Every piece of life on Earth is always just trying to survive. Like, that is their purpose, is survival. So early on in humanity, and like in people as we are today, like in Neanderthals and like all the evolutionary steps there, is that once we started to believe more of the, we got tools and we got all this agriculture, and we have all the, this, building tribes and stuff like that. That was always survival, to the point where it got where it's like, okay, now we don't need to hunt all the time. Now we don't need to, fight so hard to just survive. How can that what's the next step? And what does survival mean after that, right? And so survival then turns into this like form of religion, where it's like you have to believe in this thing where you live your life to be the best that you can be. So when you die, you're off to a better life. And so the entire planet now exists in that, and it's still a sense of survival, right? Religion is a form of survival, because people live and they find a value in living for being a good religious person. A lot of the world does that, right? So
Right.
now we're in this world, in this turning point. I'm reading article after article. If you read the atheism subreddit, there's more and more of the world that is becoming non-religious, that idea of survival because of religion is becoming less and less of a thing. Right. So my thought is like, when I was saying it's like, this is like my form of religion is this alien life and stuff like that. Like it's true. It's like this is another branch of what religion is objectively, where it is believing in a system that is so far-fetched and so out of your reach, but it's true. It's like, this is that next branch of it. So I guess my point is like, I would be fascinated as to why we think this way. Like, why are we in this survival mode? How did survival become a part of just life in general?
But
right?
we know that. We understand it quite a bit.
We understand it scientifically, but I think it's just, but what we don't understand is the human brain, is thought process, and is how the brain is structured. Why did it and how did it evolve this way?
Well, the only explanation we have is to go off of like what we are or have been in the past, right? And so like if we're on this trajectory where eventually become what we're seeing or what was talked about in that podcast with these like 9 spaceships and the propulsion system technology and like all that. I mean, imagine. Because we discovered what was 115? When was the element discovered? I think it was like the late
2006.
2006.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's only been 13 years since that discovery. Oh shit! I lost Lee. I lost him. Hold on 1 second, guys. I closed Discord on accident. Hey, I closed Discord on accident.
Oh man,
my bad.
That scared me for a second. Excuse me.
I closed Discord. I meant to close. I opened Blizzard and I messed it up. Sorry.
You're trying to play games like in the background while we're having this discussion.
No.
JK.
God damn it.
Oh man,
aliens
that was
abducted
the aliens that did that. Government heard us, man.
They shut us down, dude.
They're shutting us down because they have the control over the entire internet system. They're shutting us fucking down, bro.
So element 115. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah. Which is
so
now,
element
so, yeah.
element
tell us
1.
That story. Yeah,
so
tell us that story.
Element 115. God damn it. So element 115 is a element that's on the periodic table now. At the time, Bob Lazar was explaining to the public that there is an element that powers this propulsion unit, and it's called element 115, and nobody believed him. So in 2003, they got it. They figured it out. So yeah, it was like 20 years prior to it or something like that. Moscovian is a synthetic chemical element with symbol MC and atomic number 115. It was first synthesized in 2003 by a joint team of Russian and American scientists at the Joint Institute of Nuclear Research in Dubna, Russia. In 2015, it was recognized as one of the 4 elements by the Joint Working Party of International Scientific Bodies. On the 28th of November 2016, it was officially named after the Moscow Oblast, in which the JINR is situated. I don't know what that is. It's an extremely radioactive element. Its most stable known isotope, Moscovian 290, has a half-life of only 0.65 seconds. And the periodic table, it is a p-block transactinide element. I don't know what that means either. But basically, he cited this as a fuel for the propulsion system, and they were able to prove that while they were working on it. So the idea was that they were going to reverse engineer these this propulsion system and explain how to affect gravity. Essentially, is what it is. Oh man, I don't know if I don't know if anybody's.
The world is crazy.
It's fucking nuts, dude. I just got like my whole world changed.
So here's
today.
Yeah, so to expand on this
Go ahead.
idea is like I might sneeze, but we'll see. So I like as you were kind of chatting, so I wanted to kind of think about more of this this element 115. Come on, sneeze. Excuse me. And so like I
He
just
just
did a search
dabbed.
of just
He
like,
just dabbed, just so you guys know.
no, I didn't. I covered a sneeze. Nobody clipped that.
He dabbed.
Nobody clipped that. And then like, no, I didn't. Anyway, so I just did a search of like the newest elements on the periodic table, because like the periodic table you don't fuck around with, right? Like that is the official of the official elements that make up the universe as we know it, right? And so the newest kind of elements, like I guess what's, and this is just like a side tangent a little bit, is how much like Russian involvement scientifically is a part of the world, and how Russia is, you know, this dictator state basically. So it's the interesting fear and the danger that's in that, where it's like they're kind of like hands-free, you know, breaking chains, and like, you know, Chernobyl fucking happened because of the, you know, because of the Soviet Union, and they had this like this, you know, do whatever the fuck we want because we're this world power kind of thing.
Right.
And so, you know, having, I don't know. It is an interesting fear, but it's like, dude, if we all fucking die because they create a black hole in Russia and we all just get sucked into it.
Well, I mean, what this tells me is like the danger really is not communicating and understanding this together, because it's,
yeah.
I mean, we're talking the hardest part about all of this stuff is that we are in competition with more human beings around the world, and we're divided in that sense. So like, imagine, and this is, we're far from it, very far from it, but
yeah,
fathoming a world in which the progress of technology and the well-being of the people that are on it is at the forefront of what we should be doing. Yeah. You're talking about us being able to excel together far beyond our wildest dreams technologically in a very fast period of time, even though it's already happening, but it would happen a lot quicker if everybody was working together on this shit. And
preach, baby. Preach.
And I know
all of the world's scientists coming together with a common goal of just make and create whatever the fuck we need to like get off this planet, and then like,
well, I think technology is going to aid us in doing that, because there's the whole barrier is location and language, and once we're able to understand each other and understand our surroundings and where people come from, like, and we talked about this like in the AI episode that we did forever ago, where if you could accrue, virtual reality allows us to experience other people's perspectives, moments that happened anytime in the world if it's been recreated, right? So imagine a world where you can live another person's life and understand exactly how they are as a person because you downloaded their file or just simply touched them. It's like fucking Liara in Mass Effect.
It's your brain. It's understanding your brain's comprehension of its surroundings, and being able to download
and a
it,
crude
basically.
life experience is what I'm talking about. The feelings, the perspective. Like, if you take a world like the people that are the most profound from my understanding, and again, like, me and Lee are not fucking specialists or scientists or anything. We're just a couple of dudes who are really passionate about science. Like, if I give anybody advice, it's coming from my own life pooled experience or the people that I've interacted with, and that's all it is. It's only that. I'm not a professional. I'm not like, all I can do is answer questions to the best of my ability, and I will let you know that I'm not an expert right when I'm answering them. But this whole, I lost my train of thought. Shit.
Maybe it can help. Can I try to help?
Yeah, you can try to help.
Science rules.
The worldly perspective. So like, just like the shaman in the tribe, the reason why a shaman in the tribe or a person of like the Dalai Lama, they consider a worldly perspective. Why is the Dalai Lama so important? Well, the thought behind it is that he is the accrued experience of multiple generations of the same individual living different lives and becoming the same person over and over and over again. If we were able to replicate that, the rebirth, what's it called? Fucking
what?
Reincarnation.
Yeah.
In a digital format, you're talking about creating a generation of people who are worldly, who understand what it's like to be in China, Japan.
Who are infinite, dude.
Infinite, exactly. You're talking about
if you could
max
download
level.
Shit, Yeah, max level, but like what it's gonna take to get there is so I guess
Ooh.
like there things like this again, whether or not they're fucking true. So here's an interesting um I guess next chapter now that we have this information in our brains, right? So like this is such a far-fetched idea, like we can't prove it ourselves because we can't see it, we haven't seen the proof of it, all that kind of stuff.
We just heard it.
We just heard it. So that's the best that we have to go off of, right? But if it were as scientific as Bob Lazar is making it out to be,
which it is,
his studies and his exactly. If it's all as scientific as he makes it out to be, the beauty in science is that the fact that it will always be trying to prove it wrong.
Well, right? So it's not even
going to survive whether we like it or not.
It's not even proving it wrong, like in this sense. Like, please listen to the podcast, guys. Like
oh boy, it's beautiful.
The dread that he was explaining was like he was talking about being on the literal past the edge of what science was at the time, in his early 20s.
Yeah,
and understanding that because everybody was working separately and kind of blind, like there would never be a chance for them to kind of resolve the issues they were looking at. Like it'd be the same thing of you take a smartphone and you go back to like the 1850s and drop it in there, right? Or like I like his analogy with the motorcycle. Like so you take a motorcycle, you bring it back to like the 1800s or earlier, whatever, before motorcycles exist, and everybody would marvel at it, they would look at it, they would touch it, and if you had the keys there, eventually somebody would start to figure out exactly, hey, maybe we could ride this thing and become quite proficient at using it. But they're never going to be able to make the plastic molding or the engine compartments or the pieces that the individual pistons that are so small and manufactured so detailed. And that's the point they're at right now, where like the material science cannot be used to reverse engineer what they have. That's how far ahead the technology is. And when he said that, I was like, that's fucking nuts. Because you're taking Sorry, go ahead.
No, he takes it kind of a step further, and he's talking about like, imagine taking a nuclear reactor and like setting that like 200 years in the past or whatever. It's like, it's that same concept of the unknown and like people kind of looking at it being like, I have no idea what this thing does. Right. But it's also the potential danger of like, if you fuck with it, then it like could be really bad.
Yeah, because people start just dropping dead in the room and nobody understands why that's happening.
Right, but it's like, but I think my potential counter to that is like where we have created this unstable source of power. If this gravitational machine was, by some advanced race, they would already get past all of that. They would get past the danger of using it, right?
Right.
Because if they're so advanced, they would.
Well, now they're manipulating gravity, so it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. it's great, yeah. And so like, I think at this point for me, it's like I don't need to go out and like be a part of a UFO group and and fucking
I will happily stand on the sidelines and just wait for the information to be available and be able to the day that I get to see it is gonna be nuts, because I watched that radar footage again after they talked about it, and I was like, dude, what you're seeing is like, because what they're describing that radar footage is they're explaining it and how they understand it, but like what's actually happening on paper when they describe it, like you're talking about moving 60 miles almost instantaneously, and they recognized it a full minute later. And I don't like, you say these things, okay? You say these things, and I'm like, I don't believe that. But then you add Bob Lazar's explanation for this propulsion system, and when he's talking about like the speed, like, because what you're doing when you're manipulating gravity is you're bending light. You are fucking with the fabric of space and time. If you can control gravity, you can control teleportation. Like, all the things that are in science fiction are a real thing when you can manipulate gravity. And so the thought process is, once that happens, everything is fucking changed. Everything. And
the world is no longer
right. And so what we're seeing, what they're, and this, I guess this will lead us into our next topic. I posted this article recently in the Discord. So if you guys want to join the Discord, if you're not already a part of it, we have a whole section in the Discord. If anybody joins, you can request a role, talk show homie, and when you do, and it's granted to you, a whole new section that shows up with like our past articles, and there's a discussion where you guys can talk about these things. Thank you guys for submitting so much stuff. This is a recent article I submitted. It's about arguing with science deniers. So, yes, the stuff we've been talking about has been very much on the, like, what the fuck, UFO and aliens and Area 51 perspective. I promise you, like, we're not eccentrics. This is, like, something that we're just passionate about. Like, the experience, the scientific perspective of this is absolutely insane. And I don't think we could have been in a space... I don't even know how to explain it. It's just I don't know how to articulate it other than
so we're talking about like kind of talking to like how to then talk to deniers,
right,
in this sense here. So Mayor Wirtz, oh my gosh, dude,
welcome in everybody.
Party of 21, dude.
He's dropping a single soon. He's a comedic rapper, dude. There was an article written about him. He's fucking
nice, dude.
You should check him out, man. He's a good dude. Mayor Wirtz, thank you for bringing everybody in.
I'm R2. Nice to meet you.
I'm Conky Dong 64. This is the XP Talk Show. Welcome in, guys.
This is and so you guys came at quite an interesting time because like we are talking about the most recent documentary and Joe Rogan episode with Bob Lazar, who long story short is and I have to say it because I have to, unfortunately, but he is allegedly a scientist that worked in a branch of Area 51 and worked allegedly on alien spacecraft and alien technology.
Allegedly, with quotes. There's a lot of evidence that he did work there. Just as a heads up.
Exactly. And so we're having this just fucking it's just like warm discussion. It's already warm out here, but it's like
it's fucking warm, dude. It's so good.
It's this warm discussion about this topic because like for those of you who haven't seen this documentary, Bob Lazar, I already forgot the tagline of it. Just search Bob Lazar on Netflix. And this Joe Rogan episode, it's like
Bob Lazar, Area 51 and flying saucers.
Exactly. And so like so just listen and watch this stuff and make your own judgment, because like we're not going to tell you that it's real. We're not going to tell you that I'll tell you I believe it. I'll tell you that I believe in fucking aliens and I believe that there's something else out there, but
aliens are real to me.
Like do it yourself. Like believe it in yourself, because like because that's what's gonna take. And the beauty of, and so this is what I was going to mention earlier, is that the beauty of science and the beauty of reality is the fact that it's never going to change, and it's always going to constantly prove its existence and its truth. You know what I mean? Whether we like it or not as humans, like it will always be what it is. And so the beauty in this is the fact that like whether or not you believe that the UFO stuff is real, the alien technology is real, the concept of this technology that comes in from this Bob Lazar documentary and stuff like that isn't impossible necessarily. You know what I mean? Like all this stuff. And like another thing I was going to mention when you mentioned like science fiction and stuff like that is the fact that one of the reasons why I love science fiction is because like I feel like science fiction is like preparing me for the future. Do you ever feel like that? Like whenever you're watching like a wonderful like a science fiction movie that is like not too far off from what we believe as now. So like take Blade Runner for example, right?
Yeah, well they ground it. They ground it into like it wasn't like it's not groundbreaking now anymore. You know what I mean? Like
right,
because we had Star Wars, we had Blade Runner, like the original, we had
oh my gosh,
RoboCop, Terminator, like all these things that were like Alien,
in the 80s, dude.
Fucking in the 80s.
We had this stuff.
Yeah, we had this shit.
So
yeah,
all this stuff. So like all the science fiction movies that we love were from like the 70s and 80s. I go further back because I fucking love science fiction.
Yeah,
but like all this stuff and especially Bob Lazar's stories and stuff like that, which came from the 80s as well. But all this stuff, I feel like for me is really preparing me for like, so if tomorrow, you know, they're like an alien ship has come down and we got this anti-gravity machine and now we can travel through space and time with no energy. Like we don't need to produce any sort of fuel. We don't need anything like that, right? If it came out tomorrow, I'd be like, cool. You know, because like the magic of science fiction has prepared me for the thought of that being real. And so, but the reason why I understand it's not is because most of society and most of the world, you know, if they saw that same stuff, their fucking heads would explode.
Right.
You know, they would
100%.
turn to mush. They would turn to mush because it is like what we were talking about. Those are the people that if you take the nuclear reactor and drop it 1,000 years ago, those are the people that would just like take it and they would just lose it, you know? And so the beauty in this kind of stuff is, again, whether or not you believe in it, it's good. This stuff is gonna come out. This stuff is gonna be real at one point, and it's gonna be inevitable. And it's just a matter of whether or not we get to the point as a world society, we all come together and believe in it.
Right.
And so that is my advocacy there. Again, I'm not going out and fucking, you know, and doing all this. I'm not, you know, trying to politically fight for this, you know, or anything like that. All I could do is be my own advocate and the advocate that to the people around me, you know. You know, the people that are around me, my wife doesn't think I'm crazy. I don't think.
Well, I'm excited to talk to Leigh about this later, because when I said I believe like aliens are real, she's like, we'll talk about this later.
and I want to know how that conversation goes.
I really do.
Because so the next kind of topic that we were getting into just before everybody came in, I wanted to make sure everybody had a little substance before we get into this piece of it.
Right.
But the next kind of piece of it is then now talking to a denier, talking to a scientific denier. Right. So we're talking science fiction, everything like that. That's a whole nother chapter and stuff like that. But when you're talking to a denier, your basic instinct is to be like, you're a denier. So you say, you know, I don't believe climate change is real. I don't believe vaccinations do anything for anybody.
The earth is flat.
The earth is flat. All this other shit. It's like you get all these
aliens don't exist.
Aliens don't exist. You get all the deniers out there. And it's like, so and so this article that you posted, which is really, really good, it gives you like a scientific study.
It gives me hope.
It does give me hope too, because like,
and it kind of reinvigorated like me a bit because I knew we were going to be doing the talk show. So like reading through that, I was like, fuck yeah, like
yeah. And it's and that's the thing. It's like you know, we all want to be understood to another person, right?
Right.
We always want to, like, I want to instantaneously know you and have you know me, which is hard. You can't do that in an instant, right? So naturally, with scientific deniers, it is the hardest thing. One of the hardest things to get through as a barrier to try to understand someone at a deeper level, right? And so, like, naturally, our instinct as of late is like, someone comes to you and they're like, the Earth is flat. And then you have to go with that, you know, if you're a science believer, you go to them and you're just like, you're a fucking idiot. I'm walking away. That's your like immediate instinct, because you know that you're not going to be able to win that battle because they're just so deeply ingrained in the thought process. Like, nothing's going to fucking happen.
Right.
And so this article is really good because it shows, based off of studies, that it's worth having that conversation. And
the uncomfortable conversations.
You're having the uncomfortable conversations where, like, if I had somebody that came to me and was like, the Earth is flat, I would go to them and be like, tell me more. Why do you believe that? Where does that come from? Where is the proof that you feel is necessary? I want to hear the story.
Initial response is, fuck you. Fuck you in your stupid face.
Because it's so far, it's
easy.
Stupid.
It's the easiest thing to say. In all honesty, like, I really think, like, yes, because we're very staunch in like the scientific perspective and belief in space and all this shit. So like we know that's not the case. So like when somebody explains that or tries to explain that to us, like it's almost, you are attacking us. Like it is an affront to all the progress that we've made as humanity has progressed. And so we take it as like a deep you're pretty much telling me to go fuck myself. Like, that's none of the scientific progress we made is real. You know what I mean?
Steve, yes.
God, separate conversation. But let's.
I understand. But hold on to that thought, because I want to make a point here with that. So that very point, right, is so naturally you're just like, oh man, we've built progress and stuff like that. So why do you think, with that being said, you know, people that are like heavily religious act that same exact way?
I think it's because it's in a tangible book, and they're being told what to do.
Yeah. And so like
the rules are written for them. It's not like, here's the story, you interpret it however you like. It's, this is the rules. This is what happened.
Right.
Don't eat crawfish on Sundays. You'll die. Like, that's, these are things that.
But it's but Steve, but like,
there's a lot,
but
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, my point is this is the struggle of humanity, is the fact that like there's one side where, just as you're saying, and I am right there with you, where it's like, we have made so much discovery, of tangible discovery as a human species for thousands of years at this point, where we have, you know, it was to the point where someone looked up at the sky and they looked up at the moon and they were like, that's not a god, that's something out there. Let me search it and let me look at it. Let me stare at it and research it. Ever since the dawn of those early scientists, right, we have built this progress as a species where we are trying to just understand all of this stuff that we know is real, right? At least to our perception. And so, but at the same time, like, as much as we believe in that, you know, there are people that believe more in that religious aspect of it, right? Because they go even further back, you know, because it's like, it is a thing that has been a part of humanity even further than science really has. So, you know, but the turning point now, and like, when I see that there's more people that are non-religious and like, you know, they're becoming, there's more and more atheists into society. I think that's great, because that is building more people that are questioning the world around them. And the more that we question the world around us, the more that we get to the truth, the more that we are able to progress as a human species, the more that we're able then to survive and figure our place in the universe, right?
Right.
And so with all this UFO stuff with Bob Lazar, that is another step and another chapter in finding out the truth. Because what I would urge people to do, and this is why I started to believe in it, is because like, I was always that guy. It's like, you know, aliens, it's gotta be real and stuff like that. But I probably think that they're just organisms. Like, that's gotta be the extent of it. They're just like tiny little microscopic organisms. That is the extent of what life is in.
Because it's what we knew at the time. It was the information that was given to us, right?
It's the easiest thing to believe in because it's so small and so easy to.
Well, it makes sense. It just makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, it makes. Yes, of course, microorganisms would exist in a different environment because that's how we started.
And we can tell that. We can
but
tell that even by our own planet.
Let me just ask you this.
Please,
how pompous
in.
was that of us to assume that's all there was?
And that's the magic, because
the magic.
Because expanding on the moon thing, right? So we as a species, like early on, before we had rockets, you know, before we had cars, before we had fucking, you know, Nintendo 64, you know, before we had all that stuff, you know, we looked to the moon, and all we could do was stare at it, study it visually, develop telescopes to be able to give us a better view at something that's so far. And then that inspired us as a species to get to the point where we're like, we gotta go there, you know. And so then, speaking, I mean, this is a perfect timing for it because it's the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. But it's like, we got to the point as a species to land somebody on the moon and bring shit back. So now people can hold the moon. People can hold the fucking moon now.
Oh.
And so it's like...
and now we got like commercial flights and shit, bro. How much money does it take to fly a cargo out into the atmosphere, bro?
Dude, yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, now we're developing as a species for anybody to go into space and to go to the moon. We're going again. So it's
rockets landing upright, bro.
Yes. Oh my God. And so like my point with this is like, all it's going to take is that one person or that group of people to look at something and say, what is that? I need to know more about it. And so with this Bob Lazar documentary, with this Joe Rogan podcast episode, like, I want people to have that same approach with that, because that will prove it whether or not it's true. And that's where the science will become real, and the science fiction becomes the fiction. And so if you're a skeptic on this UFO stuff, then research it, like, then prove it to be wrong, because that's the beauty in science, is that no one's going to stop you. No one's going to stop you from trying to prove it wrong, because that's what science is.
Yes.
Is proving things wrong.
Or finding out what the ingredients are, whatever it is. Yeah.
If someone looks at the moon, they're like,
it's discovery.
Exactly.
It is unknown unknown waters. It's
yes, exactly.
It's the mysterious part of the jungle you were gone for 2 weeks in.
Our DNA is discovery and is research, man. So like, we have to do that anytime that we possibly can, including alien technology and aliens. If we know that if aliens don't exist, for those that are skeptic out there, you should be pushing for us to try to figure out and prove that to be wrong.
Right.
And how we're going to do that is by going to explore other planets, is by building telescopes that can actually see farther than they can today, is by building probes to be able to go further and further and further outside of our atmosphere and outside of our solar system to try to find answers. Like,
and synthetically making fuel
to get us there,
to propel us there.
Or prove the fact that we have an anti-gravity machine in some alien research facility.
Not one, there's 9.
Use fuel, yeah.
There's 9.
It's like it's this magical perspective of the
maddening.
universe, where it's like you like, that is my drive to survive. Is what else don't we know? What else can we find out? And we need to constantly prove truth, and we need to constantly prove what we don't know to be known. I don't know. It's like, it is so much to absorb, but it's like, so again, this conversation all stemmed originally from this Bob Lazar episode of the Joe Rogan podcast and the Netflix documentary, and then turned into this skeptic conversation.
Yeah, because that's honestly, they go hand in hand. Like UFOs, alien technology, all these things follow with skepticism. So I want to just like briefly go over this, and we'll briefly talk about it. But it's more of just this affirms the reason why me and Lee started having these conversations and why we like doing this online, because it's not about like spreading our awareness or whatever. It's just, we're trying to have a conversation around these things because we know that people are interested in talking about them. And this is a space to express your ideas and bring information to us so that we can talk about it. So being a skeptic and talking about these sort of things, the techniques that are described in this, there's actually a huge positive that comes from it, even though it seems like it can be futile.
Yeah. And I think what, to expand on that same idea, is like the differences to what we're doing. So like, with the thoughts that run through my brain about my perspective on the universe, I don't want to force that on anybody. I don't like, no, I'm not going to force that on anybody, because
agreed,
because that's aggressive. That is it's selfish, it's arrogant.
It is selfish first and foremost, because you're trying to conform people's like ideals and change their perspective based on what you think they should be, rather than how they should operate on themselves, how they individually should perceive it.
Yeah, don't
let the experience present information and let them choose.
Don't treat your neighbor as you would yourself. Treat your neighbor as they deserve to be treated in their own life, or something like that. But anyway, so
treat others like they're you living a different life.
Hell yes, preach, baby. So but it's like, so I don't like to force that on anybody, right? All I could do is be an advocate, speak my advocacy, and on a platform such as this, with a person that I love like you, and that could share that idea, because you need to surround yourself by people that are like-minded as you are, and which that will just like solidify your beliefs and solidify your passions in life and solidify your purpose in life, to the point where now we've got this show, and now people are choosing to watch us, people are choosing to hang around. You know, for everybody that's been hanging out right now, if you guys enjoy this like whack ass fucking conversation that we've been having, then like hang out with us, continue to hang out with us, because like this is what we talk about. And this is the best version of what we can be of ourselves, is our ability to be able to be passionate about something, to get to the point where others want to be just as passionate or are interested in what we have to say. If you're not interested, so nice talking with you. Have a great day. You know, go eat a sandwich or do whatever you got to do. But if you enjoy this kind of stuff, then fucking hang out with us. Keep talking with us. Challenge our ideas. Question us. Question the idea. You know, it's like that is all we can ask for in a show like this. So that's why I love doing this fucking show. And can you tell that I've got this pent up stuff because we've been off for like 3 weeks?
Yeah, 100%. It happens anytime we've been off like for a bit. Yeah.
And I always have to apologize because I fucking throw up words and stuff.
We all do. I felt the same way, man. It's
but this thing was real. This was a good topic to cover, man.
Hell yeah. It's not going to be the last time we talked about it too. Like we're always going to be revisiting the things we're passionate about, right? So
and you know what's magical is that, like, guess what? This is not the end of whatever silly alien technology is being discovered.
Right.
You know, the next chapter of whatever we discover, if you know, someone ends up, another scientist branches off of S4 or Area 51, then they come public and they're like, well, here's my iPhone that's full of videos of, you know, the facility and its alien technology, whatever it is. You know, it's like we're gonna have another chapter where more information is gonna come out, and guess who's gonna be here talking about it? You and me, baby.
Ooh.
You and me.
To the end of time.
Man, exciting. Thank you guys again for everybody that's been hanging out. This has been like
for real
a great
we used to stream this show to like 2 people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people are in here now, but I see more than 2. And thank you guys. Like seriously, I can't. I've said this before, and I can't say it enough. The fact that you guys choose to use your time. I mean, the people who've subscribed to me for more than a year has been fucking insane. Like, I don't even know. When I see that Red 64 in chat, I'm like, yo, dude, you know me so fucking well. Like, how can you not know me after more than a year's worth or a year's worth of like watching me on Twitch? That's fucking crazy. And here's another, thank you guys so much. Like, I'm not saying, you know, subscribers are better than people who are not subscribed. I'm just saying, like, it's just unfathomable to me that I would have started a show with my friend and it had gotten to the point where now people are actively working and discussing with us and contributing information to the Discord and DMing me and thanking me. Like, what? I'm just trying to do this stuff with my friend, and like all of these other things started happening, and I'm so thankful for all of you for being so goddamn supportive in every aspect of it, because I still fumble over the words that I need to describe how thankful I am, and I can't. So thank you guys.
And what's so great is that the people with it's the Red 64 emote thing, right? So so they know you because they've been watching you for a long time, right?
Right.
And so they stick around because they have they've seen all these conversations and stuff like that, and then from the sense of repetition, if you were full of shit and if you were a piece of trash, they wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be hanging out here. You know what I mean?
You're just a piece of shit or trash. You wouldn't. They wouldn't be here. You're right.
Because again, it's like talking about like that difference between that guitar player that's been playing a week and then playing 20 years. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like if you hear their story, if you hear the story between someone who is inexperienced versus someone who is, even if that includes just talking with them on the internet and showcasing your personality and the way that you think and the way that you speak and stuff like that, you're going to believe the person with the substance. You're going to believe the person with the experience because they have the experience to speak to it. They passionately speak to it and they know what they're talking about and stuff like that. So that is what draws people into it. And it's just fucking magical, you know? And
dude,
so like
so fucking nuts.
And like a side note too, so again, I know that we had people like get, you know, they got raided, so they were forced to join us. Let's be real, you know what I mean? They were forced to join us. And normally what happens with a lot of that time, it's like People come in, they're forced. They were watching one of their favorite streamers. They come into the show, and they're just like, most of the time, they're just like, this is stupid. I'm gonna go now. You know what I mean? But a lot of you guys stuck around, and like, and that is also very much appreciated. It's because like you have some glimmer of entertainment, some glimmer of interest that made you stick around, that built your curiosity to the point where it's like you want to know more. So speaking of which, Steve, I don't know, I don't want to speak for both of us here, but I think Q&A. What do you think?
Let's do the Q&A. You guys are able to ask us questions. Let me see what's in there already. I think I saw like 2 or 3.
Sick. So we want to take the opportunity, like, you know, if you guys have questions or, you know,
because I know you guys probably got in here a little bit late too. So
yeah, I know. And so that's why I wanted to like take everything that we talked about and condense it into another 10 minutes or whatever, since you guys showed up.
Josh wants to know how the hunks are doing.
The hunks are beautiful, baby.
Dude,
okay?
Hunks are doing great, man. Thanks.
You know what I mean? We're both married. We got great jobs. We got great curiosity. We got great looks on the world, man.
We got great people who are hanging out with us.
We got people that, beautiful people in our lives.
That's you guys.
I smell bacon and Brussels sprouts right now, so
He's starving.
My tummy is grumbly. So
yeah, if you guys have any questions, please let us know. Hi, Amtrash.
So, as people come up with questions and stuff, you know, like the topic of discussion for tonight was based off of Bob Lazar, who is allegedly a scientist that worked on an alien facility, a secret government alien facility. There's a documentary about it. There's a Joe Rogan episode on it. So if you guys got questions about that idea or aliens as an idea, we're looking for those questions. We're looking for that skepticism, that curiosity. We transitioned into a topic that was about talking with skeptics, talking with people that, you know, are science deniers and stuff like that. How do you do it? Do you do it? Is it valuable to you or somebody else? So if you guys got questions around that, awesome.
Kevin has a question
on, like, everything.
Would you fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck?
Duck-sized horses.
Yeah, I agree.
Duck-sized horses, 100%.
Yeah, because they'd be easy to kick.
Question,
I got a question for you. This came up on the Gus and Eddie podcast, one of my favorite podcasts. If you were to fight like a bunch of if you were to fight a bunch of grade schoolers, do you think you could beat up like 50 fourth graders?
I think so.
Okay.
Because I think in the long term of it, you know, you'll get in such a repetition that time will cease to exist for you.
Yeah.
You know, you knock out a fourth grader or fifth grader?
Fifth grader. Or so fourth grader. 50 fourth graders? Yeah.
You knock out a fourth grader, you figure out how easy it is. You knock out a second fourth grader, you see how easy it is. You get into this repetition that time ceases to exist. By that time, you know, you get to 50 and you're like, oh, it's lunchtime.
It's lunchtime.
So,
I started at 9 a.m. 3 hours later.
Easy, dude. Easy.
I feel like
we got a question. Duck Norris here. If you could solve one crisis right now with a snap of your finger, which would it be? Climate change, baby.
Climate change, bro.
You know, I think
climate change.
I think the health of the earth trickles to so many other problems and other things that are going on right now. I think climate change would be the first snap of my finger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that would
for
be
sure.
It.
Climate change unanimously for me.
If there was, I would say if there was a second, which could contribute to climate change, would be the snap of my, like the crisis right now of the advocacy for science. You know what I mean? Of the world advocacy for science. So if I could snap my finger and, you know, every scientist on the planet came together and did the research and did stuff, like I think all other things would fall into place. So that would be like a close second for me. But as far as like a real crisis right now, climate change, 100%.
Yeah, that or like, yeah. If I was to choose a second best, it would be like the barriers between all humans. Like eliminating all barriers between understanding human beings and how they operate and the implications of decisions that affect a lot of people.
Yeah, even just like stranger interaction, you know.
Right.
I am so now that I commute downtown, I ride the train every day.
Yeah.
And I am doing I am pushing myself to do this. The train conductor, like they always like on the CTA and Chicago Transit, they change all the time as far as the people that actually drive the trains. But like, there's this one fucking guy. I want to know his name. Thanks, babe. Hell yeah, we're wrapping up. There's this one fucking guy that every day is on the train with me.
Mm-hmm.
And he drives a train, and so no other conductor has ever done this, but he's got this bubbly personality. He's like, you know, hey everybody, thanks for driving the CTA. It's a hot one out there, so make sure you're staying hydrated, and like cracking jokes. He's singing Chicago, Chicago, like when he gets to the Chicago stop. It's fucking great.
He's a good dude.
And so like I want to know the guy's name and tell him like, dude, you make my day. Right. And so it's breaking down, to your point, like the barriers of human interaction, where it's like, just go tell that guy, like, what's your name? Thank you for being who you are. And you know, positively contributing to the people that are doing the right in the world. So I don't know. Yeah.
That's good, dude. Yeah, that's called specific positive feedback.
Yeah, I know, dude. I want to go up to this guy.
This is I think this is similar to what like we were talking about, where like, yes, it's worth arguing against science deniers, because the impact of raising your hand and saying, hey, that's not right, it affects the universe around there. Other people will see that and respond to it. I think the same thing happens when you do it with human interactions. So like the relationship that I have with like a few people who own restaurants and shit, like, is the whole reason was because I had that one thing of food and I immediately had to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like and David Park, and like that was, and that's a relationship to this day I treasure. It's absolutely insane that I know this person. They're doing amazing work, and I started in a food court, and they didn't even know me. I was like, excuse me, did you like, can I speak with the chef or whatever? And they're like, yeah, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. Like, actually more than that, I just would like to really tell them how this made me feel. And like, he came back and I could tell he was like busy and he looked concerned, and he was just like cleaning his hands. He's like, hi, I'm Dave. I'm like, hey, I'm Steve. I want you to know that this is the best like bowl of ramen, I guess. I didn't know what to call it at the time. This is the best bowl of ramen I've ever had in my entire life. And I've had a lot from a few different places that were like really recommended, but I could tell that you spent a lot of time thinking about how all of these ingredients work together, and you changed my life. He's like,
hell yeah, dude.
He's
yes,
like,
I love
dude,
that.
It's a $10 bowl of ramen. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
But at least like,
but he understood the impact of what he did, and like that the recognition that what he was trying to do his whole life was working. You know what I mean? They need that positive affirmation, because just like you had given me that wonderful feedback positively and specifically, that is encouraging me to, you know, continue to do what I'm doing. And it helps me recognize that, yes, I am doing the right thing and I'm on the right path.
Yeah, dude, I agree with you 1,000%, because like it you know, if you constantly do what you're talking about, where you're just like breaking down the barriers of human connection, if you constantly do it, you will create a blip in the system where it will replicate itself. Because like everybody on the planet, or most people or something like that, have been on the receiving end of that blip. Yes. When someone came to you and they positively treated you in a way that you had never been treated before. And I would argue that is not something that makes you carry yourself a little higher that next day when you're like, this happened to me today and it was great, you know? And so like, I'm going to bring mathematics into it. All right.
Sure.
I feel like everybody should create these blips of fractal geometry around their life as many fucking times as possible. I don't do it enough, and I'm guilty of it myself. But
we're all guilty of it, man. That's the reason why we talk about it.
Exactly. We talk about it because like I feel Like, and for those of you who don't know fractal geometry, long story short, it's basically like a thing that replicates on itself so equally that it goes on for an infinite amount of time.
Duck Norris, what you just said right there, I don't know how to react to it, but I really appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Hell yeah. So the fractal geometry, like, create those blips in fractal geometry around your life. Like, go and tell that person, like, I appreciate this bowl of ramen. It's the best I have. Whether or not it's going to make a difference, you'll eventually get to the point where someone that you interact with and you're trying to create that blip with is gonna go and be like, fuck, the world's great, and this guy reminded me of that.
Well, it's almost like when you walk around with your head down, right, and somebody just like picks your head up a little bit. I had a guy. I walked. Sorry, but I walked home. No, go ahead.
I walked home, and this guy that's down the street playing. It's this older guy playing catch with his son. I'm walking home from work, got my AirPods in, head down, listen to my podcast and stuff like that. And he stops me, and he's just like, "Hey, man, like, where do you live around here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I actually just live like at the end of the block over here." And he's like, "We're having a block party on the 20th. Like, you should come out. Or, have music. We got beer. It's like all this stuff. Would love to have you." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, this is great." And I'm like, the humanity is saved here because, like, this stranger broke down this barrier of human connection where it's like, he's like, "Let me try this. Let me just try this with this guy." And I'm a receptive human being, so I was like, "Yeah, you'll see me there," And so, like, so we all need to be that person of creating those blips in other people, and so I'm gonna do my best to, like, if I see a stranger that is piquing my interest, or I have something to say, or whatever it is, mostly positively, if not all positively, right? I will do it. I will try to do it because, like, it will constantly remind us to, like, not be in the phone the whole time on our commute and start to take a look around and, like, fucking listen to that guy that's on the train and be like, that guy's a little different. I need to thank him for being different.
Unless he's like so different, he's like, pooping or something.
Like an alien. He's like, yeah. He's an alien. He's so different. He's like an alien.
I don't know if that's the case, but, like, maybe, I don't know. Just jerk. Be careful. So. Just be careful. And I think, like, I agree with your perspective a lot, but use your best judgment. Like, be under.
There's serial killers out there. I mean, let's be real.
Like, be careful, like, who you interact with. But I would agree with the fact that, like, when we think about these things, a lot of it is in retrospect. Like, I should have done this, or I should have said that. Yeah. And I really think it's important for you to reach out and just be thankful for, like, the existence of another person positively influencing you. Because even if it's like a good cup of coffee or whatever, like, that goes, like you said, a really long way, and it creates a ripple effect where that person will remember that and be inspired to possibly reciprocate that blip onto somebody else, and then it fractals out like you described.
Fucking fractal geometry, man.
Does anybody have any last questions? Lee's got to eat food. He's starving.
I gotta get these bacon and Brussels sprouts, man.
Yeah. Last questions.
Bacon and Brussels sprouts.
We got 10
I think
seconds.
Steve, if you want to tell people about, like, how can they follow us? How can they stay in touch with us?
Of course. Yeah. So you guys can always join the Discord. Like, I spent a lot of time making a Discord. This is called, I'm going to change the name in a moment because it's called the Homies right now, but now it's the Tribe. I consider you guys part of the involved community, and I just happen to be around you guys. I'm not like the tribal leader or anything like that. I'm more like the shaman guy. So you guys can join the Discord there. A Tribe Called Conky.
Yeah, dude. A Tribe Called I like a Tribe Called Conky.
That's funny. That's funny. So that, again, it implies that it's me at the head of it, but I'm not.
But yeah, so buddy, you never know.
In the Discord. In the
can I kick it? Yes, we can. Can I kick it?
Yes, we can. All right. Fuck yeah. You guys can be involved with the Discord. We have a whole section. Please ask for a role if you want to see any of the talk show stuff. We share music, we share articles, we talk about those articles. There's also like a feedback portion too, so if you guys want any functionality or things that you think would make the Discord better, please let me know. Like, I'm open to changing this thing and making this thing more of our own space and not just a space that we operate within. Just because I had set it up doesn't mean that everything is concrete. If you need things changed, let us know and we'll make those changes together. You guys can DM us on Twitter, R2Lee2 on Twitter. Lee primarily is on Instagram, so please give him a follow there.
Mainly Twitter.
You're on Twitter?
Mainly Twitter. Yeah, I mean, like, as far as at least this, like,
oh yeah,
internet and, like, you know, stuff like that. Instagram is more of my personal life, but
oh sure,
you know,
yeah.
Twitter's a way to go.
Twitter, feel free to reach out and DM if you guys have any questions for me. I'm available for DM. We do the show every week. Next week we will be off. Lee has
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Lee will not be available, so I'll be I'm gonna reach out to a few people to see if they can fill in. If anything, we'll probably be switching the talk show to Wednesday because I have somebody in mind, but I haven't reached out to them yet. And I know their availability ahead of time. And that's it. If you guys like the show, please follow. Smooch that follow button if you can. And if you don't, I totally understand. If you guys are coming in from, you know, Mirrorword's stream and you're like, okay, well, we listen to this shit and we're gone. Well, you're not listening to this now, so thanks for hanging out if you did stick around, and I appreciate the fuck out of you. Thank you, Kush, for the host. Whoa. Satan666 for the host. Clover Star for the host. Kevin Nuge for the tier. What he uses Prime sub? Dude, you only get one of those a month, dude. Thank you. Kevin, thank you seriously for using that for us.
People out there, man.
Thank you guys for kicking it with us. I will see you guys later. We will be live Saturday morning for some more Saturday morning cartoons. Lee, any final words?
Dude, create blips in fractal geometry that is the world. Just do it, man. Fucking hell.
Just do
great.
it.
Universe is vast.
Let's see who's live right now so we can raid. One moment here. Can you hang out for like 2 minutes really quick?
Hang out for 2 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope you guys like the show, man. If we're like super, yeah, create fractal blips. There you go. That's a good mantra to live by. Fuck yeah.
You guys want to use that as the raid message?
Create fractal blips, dude.
That's a raid message nobody fucking would say.
No one's gonna understand, but like if they researched it, what does fractal mean?
There you go. Create fractal blips, you hunks. There you go.
Yes. Oh. Man, that's great. I love it.
Okay, who we got in here?
It. Create fractal blips, man. There's a documentary on YouTube about fractal geometry. Check it out. Fucking hell.
What we got?
Who we gonna hang out with, huh?
Oh, we're fucking hitting. Okay, we're gonna go to Rocco. Rocco's playing Sea of Thieves right now. I'm pretty sure this is the fifth. Go at the campaign that they're doing on Sea of Thieves, which means that Rocco's gonna freak out when they get the gold curse. If you guys are unfamiliar with Say Hey Rocco, Rocco is a cat puppet that loves pooping in closets, eating cheese fries, and making fun of mom and dad. We all have this voice in our heads. It's the innocence that we lost growing up. I think Rocco is probably like, I don't know what it is about Rocco. You either love him or hate him. And I think over time, just like I discovered, oh shit. What's happening? Am I getting raided?
Yeah, another raid.
Is that Topher? Fuck.
I know.
Topher, thank you for the raid. It's a raid train. It's a raid train. Lee, get out of here so I can finish up.
Yeah,
okay.
You guys do your thing. I'm gonna hang out. You know, whatever. Following my Twitter, but I'm gonna I'm make sure that there's like I'm back on with the show. Unfortunately, next week got to travel for work, but like I'll be back. You guys are incredible.
Love you, bud. I'll see you later. Okay.
Create those blips. All right, I'll see you guys. Smooches.
Bye.